Hey, welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tex Johnson, a.k.a. Uncle Tex, a.k.a. Professor Tex. Before we get started, smash that like button, subscribe to the page, share with a friend, and whatnot. Got any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. And, just keep it respectful. Constructive criticism is always got that. It's cool with me. I mean, we can talk about it. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I can always use some criticism and whatnot. All good, as long as it's constructive and nothing disrespectful. With that being said, before I get on this show, first and foremost, I actually already did this show earlier. Some might have caught it and didn't see I had to delete it because I had a glitch and then my mic wasn't hooked up. So unfortunately, I had to sit there, and that was basically a 60-minute show, which is the longest show I ever did. Which I got to thinking, and I saw some stuff, and I was like, man, I don't have to do no show actually that long or whatever. I could, but I'm like, I wouldn't. I said, no, I think about it. I said, no, I can condense this a little bit and whatnot and make my point quicker and stuff like that. And I came to a specific point that I'm gonna bring up later on that I don't think it's funny. I've never heard anybody actually talk about this. I haven't seen nobody make that comparison and sit up there and say, but this person does this and this person does that, but this person is lauded way better than this other person, but this other person has done just as much as that person has done, if not even more. But they try to say that, well, he's not X, Y, and Z. He's overrated, he's this, he's that, and everything like that, but he's done more than this person. And they came into the league at the same time. But before I go there, let me say this first and foremost. Any player from since 1929, I should say, that has played that was able to play in the great NFL for all those years, going 106, 105, 106, 107 years, however long it has been. Not all of us was going to be able to play that great game at that league at that particular level. A lot of players get a chance to. Some players squander it off. Some players don't have the genetics for it. Some players just don't have it to go to that next level. Some have it, like I say, squander it off and have an opportunity to play the game, whether it was 1 year or 20 years and whatnot, to play this great game. So guys that make it in any professional sport for that matter, but any man that has played in the NFL, even if it's for a year or whatever like that, just that 1 year or whatever, then they hang it up or they get hurt or something happens to them. They got an opportunity to play and whatnot. And the reason I'm saying that for is because what happens in so many cases that I've ended up seeing is like, these guys that say you get a chance to play and you get a chance to play in the league. So what happens is that when you're playing in the league, you're under a microscope on how you play, especially based upon where did you go in your draft class. As far as that goes, where you go in your draft class and what did you do and how you came out and all this stuff like that. And oftentimes you sit up there and see players, man, they scrutinize them. Quarterback obviously is the most scrutinized position because that's the franchise and stuff like that. So you have these players come out and everything, and then sometimes they don't pan out, whether it's your guys like Josh Rogan, I believe, him and certain things with Mitch Trubisky, even though he had a year or two or whatever. You had Jamarcus Russell. You got a ton of quarterbacks that have been quote unquote considered bust, but they did play for a couple of years here and there and was able to do something a lot of us who talk shit wasn't able to do. Now, having said that, we have with the advent of YouTube and all these other different things to sit up there for a person like myself, armchair quarterback or whatever, to sit back and talk about and criticize it because we have a right to, because a lot of us has watched the sport for 30, 40, 50 years. So I can sit up there and look at things and say, oh, he's doing this, he's doing that, played in high school, whatever case may be, but really love the game and really dissect the game and love to see it played at a high level. In all of that. So I have a right to critique somebody if we so like to. But I'm like, sometimes critiques are ridiculous to an extent. And then we have this microwave thing that goes on now in sports, especially in football, with the whole thing, especially with the quarterback position. Or we want to hurry up. People are so quick to take somebody and put them up there only to throw rocks at them later on. By mid-season, last year, C.J. Stroud was the talk of the town at playing quarterback. He even put himself in the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks that's playing and stuff like that. Forward up to this year, he threw 7 or 8 more interceptions. The yards was down and stuff like that. I think a couple of touchdowns was down as well. A lot of those pundits on those other shows, let them have it. You heard it. You know what I'm saying? You actually really heard it and whatnot. Got a chance to get in the playoffs. Got to win, beat San Diego, which was a surprise, but not a surprise. Being that San Diego was supposedly hot and stuff like that, but that's why you play the game. But then they threw rocks at him, pretty much virtually for most of the season. Now you got Jaden Daniels doing what he's doing, playing at a high level, doing what he's doing and stuff like that, and all that. They'll put you up here to end up throwing rocks at you. But my thing is, judge these quarterbacks, anybody for that matter, on their career in football, whatever, regardless of the position that they play. Judge their career really at the end when they've played about 5 years and stuff. That's basically they're going to be who they. By year 5, you're going to. That's pretty much who you are. That's pretty much who you are. I remember years ago, and I think I might have did a show on this and talked about this. I remember when Javon Curse came out of Florida. When he came out of Florida, University of Florida, and was known as the Freak. And this is even before Moss, if I'm not mistaken. This is even before Moss, known as the Freak. Dude had, you name it, he had it. I think he was all pro, all this, all that, all of that stuff like that. He ended up having a decent career, but based upon this first year or two where they was trying to put him at, it's like his career didn't end the way some thought. He was getting ready to be the next best pass rusher, the next another level past that of Reggie White and that of Bruce Smith. And I remember they asking Bruce Smith about him after his rookie year. And he said, okay, yeah, he did good and stuff like that. He said, now that they know who he is, he said, let's see what happens when they start double teaming him. And when Bruce Smith said that, I think a lot of people might have took it a certain way, but it was like, oh, okay, I hear what he's saying and all that. Let's see what happens when they start double teaming him. Things just really wasn't the same. His career didn't end up being what it ended up being. Sure, he made a lot of money. He had this, he had that, and stuff, but he didn't end up being what everybody thought that he was, or what he should have been, based upon his ability and his freakish athletic ability that he had. Not even close to the career any of those two great ends had. Not even close. Not even remotely close. He had a year or two, something like them, but that was about it. And messed around. I remember reading a few articles and they're talking about, God just a shame because he should have been X, Y, and Z or whatever. So that does happen in the league and whatnot. But you judge a joker based upon his first 4 or 5 years in the league to an extent, but then stop trying to microwave these players and make them be something that to a degree that they're not at this particular point in time. They're young players. So God, oh yeah, he's this, he's that. I'm already putting them in all these top 10 lists, top 5 lists, and this and that, and all that. It's just a bunch of fucking jargon and whatnot. But about 4 or 5 years, you play 5 years in the league, 4 or 5 years, you are who you are. All right, you are who you're going to be. You couldn't have told me 6, 7 years ago, or 5 or 6 years ago, that Ezekiel Elliott would be where Ezekiel Elliott is at now. Had a good career. Should have had a great career. Because if you look at his first 3-4 years in the league, first 3 years in the league compared to Emmett, they were neck and neck. Emmett slightly more, but it was neck and neck because, of course, he got himself in trouble at college and he had to end up missing 3 or 4 games and still almost rushed for 1,000 yards in 7 or 8 games. And he would have and if he did that, and then he led the league in rushing twice, he would have had at least 3 years. He possibly could have rushed 4 years in a row of being a leading rusher. That right there, if twice, okay, you do it 3 to 4 times, you're up in some nice company. He didn't do that. And as I would find out later on and stuff, like talking to my man and stuff, because I'm a Cowboys fan, but I don't follow all of the stuff that they be having on Twitter. My man, he goes hard and deep in what these guys be doing it personally and shit like that. I don't do it because I don't care about that. Because I know they're young, they got money, they're going to go do dumb shit. The thing of it is like how to brush that shit off, to put that shit in perspective. Okay, I can do this, all that, but I got to put in work first. And come to find out, and I heard so many people say Zeke did a lot of fucking partying and fucking around where he just didn't really just take care of himself or really be really perfecting his craft to the next level, taking it to the next level and whatnot. Because a lot of these guys go off at their talent. Some of these guys got the talent in high school. They got the talent in college. And even in the pros, they get to it and stuff like that, and they can still do it. Now when a little adversity comes, okay, injury, okay, I got to back up. I got to do that. I have to watch what I'm eating. I can't go out there and drink. I can't do this. I can't do that and whatnot. And to take the thing to the next level, sometimes they still want to stay that thing. And instead of them doing this, they go here and they peak, and then they just decline. They peak and then they decline. You give them all this, and then they just decline, and then you throw darts at them as they're going down. So let these quarterbacks and these players play. I don't believe in giving anybody all of these types of praise and stuff. Now, when you do things like a Mahomes did, or you did things like Marino did in his first 2 or 3 years, first 3-4 years in the league and whatnot, things that are just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. What Jaden Daniels is doing as a rookie, that's mind-blowing. Now, let's see what happens for the next 3 years. What if he does what he does this year and then blow a knee? The same thing with RG3. Okay, his leg gets fucked up. Kid's never the same. And then when things happen and he rushes himself back, and then you have a coach that's not really in your corner, not utilizing the way he wanted, because he's still, because Shanahan's still wishing that he had luck sitting on his lap. It's a recipe for disaster. And unfortunately, RG3, even though he ended up still playing some years, made him some checks, made him a nice living, he's doing good and whatnot and stuff like that. So that's good. That's good. But it's a shame that what could have been had things went another way. You follow what I'm saying? So that's how it goes. So putting these, put this guy, let them guys play. Trying to sit up there and put them on this pedestal only for you to try to knock them off later on. Now, certain guys you can put on the pedestal because they've done things at a high level for a 3 or 4 year run, or they did things like, wait a minute, we ain't seen that before. He's doing it. Like I said, case in point, guys like that of Mahomes. This is year 7. Year 1, he didn't play. We played one game his rookie year. Then he comes in 2018. He hasn't looked back. 18, 19, 20. Those 3 years right there already put him in a whole nother stratosphere. By year 4, here, another MVP. Year 5, here we go. He just is do. Now everybody's like, last 2 years he ain't really put up the number. Bro, that doesn't matter. He's already done that shit. They're winning in so many different ways. You see how they won this past week. You follow? But having said that, and these things, when they talk about quarterbacks, and they talk about let's rank the quarterbacks ahead of the 2024 season. I got Mahomes there. You got Lamar. You got Josh. You got Burrow. You got Stroud, and you got all Herbert. All of it. And I end up, and they say Jalen Hurts and stuff like that. Jalen Hurts, because people, and then what made me kind of do this. I was sitting up there. I was on Twitter doing some trolling, like I normally like to do, doing some trolling and whatnot. And I came across Jalen Hurts, and people was overrated. And I was like, and he didn't have a good year last year, but it was decent. It was decent than most fucking quarterbacks. He went to the playoffs. And I was just like, how is he overrated? How is he? Oh, he's doing what he's done since he came into the league. And I was like, I said, let me look up something here. And I went to Jalen Hurts thing. And I'm just like, and I kind of already knew this, but that took me for them to call him overrated. And I'm just like, wow. Okay, Jalen Hurts is 46-20. 14,667 yards passing, 85 touchdown, 39 picks. Okay. 46-20. Okay. Age 26. And I'm like, okay. With a minimum of 10 starts, he only started 4 games his rookie year, so I don't even count that. Got to have at least 10 starts. First year really starting was 2021. 8-7 to go to the playoffs. His second year starting, 2022, they go 14-1, 3,701 yards of passing, 66.5% completion ratio, 22 touchdowns, only 6 picks. Go down to his advanced rushing, as they say. 760 yards, 13 touchdowns. 13 touchdowns. Okay. 13 touchdowns. 13. 22, 13. Okay. 22, 1, 3. That's 35 touchdowns, I think. Something like that. He made the Pro Bowl that year. And he also was named All-Pro second team that year. They go 14-1. They march through the NFC, go to a Super Bowl. He lights out, had the one fumble or whatever, lights out, played the whole 9 yards. Like the old saying say, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And all that. Down year a little bit last year. But hey, that's happened. Even though he threw one more touchdown and stuff like that, but he threw a lot of picks, threw 15 picks. And was shitted on coming into this season. Now he is finished 12-3 in 15 games started because he did miss a game or two due to injury. 2,903 yards, 18 touchdowns. Right? And then he was for 630 yards, 14 touchdowns. So I think that's like 32 touchdowns, I believe. And they're 12-3 with him at the helm. And they're going to the NFC Championship game where I'm predicting that they should win and go to another Super Bowl. That is 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. Let me say this again. 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. 2 NFC Championship games in 3 years. Now, my quarterback in Dallas hasn't yet to be in a NFC Championship game. He's already getting ready to play 2. And Dak has numbers. Okay? So, having said that, and he's known as being overrated. So then I said, well, hell, wait a minute. Who else came out in that 2020 draft? Oh, this guy came out in the 2020 draft. Joe Cool, Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty, Joey Franchise. That guy. And I'm like, okay, let's check it out then. We checking it out and whatnot. And so I'm like, okay, 2020. Now he started he's the first overall pick, if I'm not mistaken, coming off a national championship. And they was already trying to, after that second year, they're already trying to crown him. 10 starts, 2-7-1. 10, 11 starts, and he missed like 6 games. He got injured. Okay. Come back in 2021, 2022. 10-6, 12-4. Out the gate. They go to that of the Super Bowl, AFC Championship game. They beat Kansas City. Kansas City laid an egg in the second half. Then they go to the AFC Championship game again. They go 12-4. Kansas City go ahead and send them home crying. Send them home crying like they should have did the year before. 23-24. 5-5. He missed 6-7 games. Yeah, he missed 7 games, and then they go 9-8 this year. Missed the playoffs 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row. All these yards, 4,918 yards. I did a show on this throw for we've already seen that before. He's not doing anything that we hadn't saw before. But yet you go here and listen to me close. Since Cincinnati, it was Joe Burrow has a case as the second best quarterback in the NFL, but the fact that he's only played 10 games for the second time in a 4-year-long career, the last doesn't help his cause. Still, it's clear Burrow is an absolute beast. Is capable of taking over a game anytime he steps on the ground. That sounds good. Sounds good. But what am I seeing here? Joe Burrow is 38-30-1. Of course, he has more yards because they're going to throw the ball way more. My man's a dual threat quarterback. Still a quarterback, but nonetheless, they do it a different way. 46-20. Two-time Pro Bowler. Joe Cool just made his second Pro Bowl this year. All-Pro second team. Joe Burrow's not even made an All-Pro second team. He'd probably make another Comeback Player of the Year award, I guess. So same amount of Pro Bowls, getting ready to be the same amount of going to a conference championship game. He'll one-up them if he gets to the Super Bowl, which I predict they should. They should beat the Skins and whatnot. So can you explain to me how? And I'm just using this. I don't pay attention to this ranking. I don't give a shit. I mean, some of it's good, some of it's ridiculous and whatnot. How does this person here, this guy right here, based upon some shit that he did 3 years ago to 2 years ago, and here this guy within 2 years ago was in the Super Bowl, he's ranked down here while this other guy is up here, or even you got a guy like CJ Stroud up here. If we're talking about, because everything they lay on talk about with Joe Burrow is based off of them losing the Super Bowl against the Rams 3 years ago. 3 fucking years ago, and you're still talking about that. Oh, they went to the AFC Championship game again. Okay, 2 years ago, you're still talking about that. Now 2 years in a row, they're at home watching the fucking going to be watching the playoffs and watching the playoffs at home and the Super Bowl at home. That's what they're going to be doing. All you had those assholes saying, I don't even watch the game. Okay, then. All right, whatever jacks your Jimmy. You know what I'm saying? Whatever turns you on. Well, so explain to me, how does this guy leapfrog this guy when this guy here, when we put the numbers, this is why I say numbers don't like get emotional. People do. This guy is considered overrated, but this guy is all world when this guy has more wins and has as much accomplishments as he does as this guy. And then when you talk about he's all up in the video and all this other kind of stuff like that. Fine, I ain't got no problem per se with Joe Burrow. He's a fantastic quarterback and whatnot. Ain't won nothing yet. And if the Bengals don't get it right, they will return to the Bungles. You heard it here first. What Chris Berman used to call them back there in the late 80s, in the early 90s when they was garbage for a decade. When he called them the Bungles. And I say they done popped off. They popped off in 21-22. Somebody said something on Twitter I thought it was really interesting. He said the time the Burrow and them went to the championship game, those are the 2 years when Lamar got hurt back-to-back years. Because if they don't, each time the Ravens was leading the division anyway. And if he's playing, they're not beating. They're beating Cincinnati's ass. Period in the story. Period in the story. It's not going. It's not. But that's neither here nor there. But I'm just saying how ironic that is. Now, ever since Lamar's been back for the last 2 years and won one MVP, probably going to possibly win another MVP. Won the division 2 years in a row. He's home 2 years in a row. You see a pattern here. So you explain to me who's really overrated. Who's really overrated? How do you take a player who came out in the same draft class and y'all are still basing everything based upon what he did 3 years ago? That's why I hate the Cincinnati Bengals fans. You still talking about shit that happened 3 years ago, and you're living off this. And how long you're going to let him do this? How long? Because after a while, you can't hide behind that no more. 2 years, that's it. That's it. You can't hide behind that no more. I even seen now, and this is how pathetic the Cincinnati Bengals fans is. Because like I told y'all time and time again, they, in their twisted mind, look at themselves as they're the Kansas. We are what the Kansas City Chiefs are. That's really who we are. Just because of a few things here and there. That's who you would think that they actually won 3 Super Bowls. Their franchise has never won a Super Bowl. They 0-3 in the Super Bowl. You had this guy go on and made up his meme or whatever the fuck it is. And he said, the Washington Commanders or the Cincinnati Bengals of 2021. I'm like, dude, create your own fucking identity. You have the players. All you got to do is win instead of just running out talking or not showing up when it's time to show up. They morph over into somebody else and what somebody else is supposed to be doing. Well, somebody's actually accomplished something and they haven't accomplished nothing but saying, well, that's supposed to be us. Well, it's not y'all. I said, I'll be goddamn. I said, now they done it again. Now can't say, they're what we were back in 2021. Okay. If you need that, evidently you do. But you're going to tell me, and this is for motherfuckers, for real, you guys go look this shit up. This is why I call myself Professor Tex. I'm like, bro, I looked this shit up. And you're going to call Jalen Hurts overrated. You called him overrated. And if we're going to go by shared numbers and winning and passing percentage, you can go with all that. I was like, he stacks right with him in the way that he plays his position and whatnot. Yeah, Jalen probably ain't going to throw 35, 40 touchdowns or whatever you want him to do, but he's going to probably give you 40 some odd touchdowns or close to it. So I'm like, and he only threw 5 picks. I said he missed some games and shit. He missed 2 games. He didn't throw for a ton of yards. Dude, are you serious? They finished like what, 14-3? What the fuck are you talking about? That's what it's all about, man. At the end of the day, so you tell me who's overrated. I'm not saying either one of them are overrated. They're where they're pretty much supposed to be at and is doing what they're doing. But when you call a player overrated, you got to come with some shit. You can't just say that best up on the eye test because you like the way, they always show Burrow with that meme, throwing the ball and turning his back around and it hits the guy in the hand doing warm-ups. That's cute. Do that shit at home. Nice tricks that you can do at home. Nice tricks you can do at home. I said, but you gonna call this man overrated, and this man has as much accomplishments and actually the ability to have more. Now that's where it comes into play because it's like this guy's career is not over. There's so much more football. At least another 6 or 7 years with these guys. Give it 10. Let's say they play till like 38 or something. So it's got like 10 more years or whatever. So it's so unfair to really do that. But if we're going to go year by year and play the game and stuff, like fine. I'm like, Jalen Hurts has accomplished just as much as Joe Burrow. Can't nobody see that shit? Am I the only somebody to see that? I'm sure Eagle fans probably see that. But am I the only one? Some Eagle fans probably don't even do that. Because if some Eagle fans think he's overrated, I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm like, okay, fine. So if this guy is overrated, then what the fuck is he? Say it again. If this guy is overrated, then what the fuck is he? Look at the win-loss record. Look at the accomplishments. They both went to Super Bowls and lost. They both have been to 2 conference championship games. Jalen has a chance to win one. That'd be one up on Burrow because Burrow's only won 1. To go to the Super Bowl, right? So if he does that, he's up on him. He's up on him. And for shits and giggles, let's do this. For shits and giggles, let's do this. Let's hit to the playoffs. Ever since he's been a starter, since 2021, he's 4-3 in 7 playoff games. Which means since he's been a starter, with the minimum amount of 10 starts, he's never missed the playoffs. Never missed the playoffs. Joe Burrow has missed the playoffs 3 years out of his, how many years that he's been playing now? Out of 5 years, he's missed the playoffs. I don't want to use the rookie thing, but he did go over 10 starts. Okay, missed the playoffs. I didn't expect him that. So I'm going to scratch that. He's missed the playoffs 2 years in a row. Now you want to go there? I say 3 years, but he missed it 2 years in a row. Jalen Hurts has made the playoffs every year since he's been a starter with a minimum of 10 starts. What else do I have to say? And you gonna tell me this guy is overrated and this guy? So if he's overrated, then what is this guy? Again, if he is overrated, then what the fuck is this guy? When Jalen Hurts has more even individual things than he does. Yeah, okay, he got my man leading league. Okay, he threw the ball damn near 700 fucking times. I would guess so. He has one of the best receivers. He has the best receiving. That's fine. That's everybody's not going to be blessed with that. Jalen has a good one and stuff like that. Do Jalen throw the ball like Burrow? No, he doesn't throw the ball like Burrow. So what? So I can sit up there and say, not that Jalen's ball is bad, but I'm like, my man, more thorough of a passer. But Jalen has his moments and whatnot. He does other things, does with his legs. That shit counts. Sorry, y'all. Count. You can't put that over here. When he scores a touchdown running, that means that's 6 fucking points. So if he throws 25 touchdowns and then he ends up having 15, that's 40. Well, Joe Burrow threw 40. Okay, he came up with 35, 40 touchdowns as well. Now what? I mean, fuck, Burrow's not going to do no sneaks. He ain't going to do no push and shit like that. So I'm not saying either one of them overrated. That's to the pundits who say stupid shit like that. But if Joe Burrow is all of that, then what does that make Jalen Hurts? Y'all follow what I'm saying on that? Then what does that mean? How is he ranked according to these people? And I'm not really paying attention, but he's number 7 and all this bullshit jibbity jabber that he's talking. And some people put Burrow as number 2, but he's still Josh Allen. Since Josh Allen has been in, since even Josh Allen hasn't missed the playoffs. Maybe his rookie year, maybe. I think. I'm not even sure. But let's look it up just to see it. But they put him, they put Josh Allen up above a lot of jokers because Joe Burrow over a lot of people and stuff like that because of the Super Bowl loss of 3 years ago. They're still talking about that shit. They're still talking about it. So he's been to the playoffs he's been to the playoffs 6 years in a row. He's never missed the playoffs. They've won the East 5 years in a row. So in retrospect, when you look at it, Joe Burrow, but y'all put Burrow over Allen because of something that happened 2 years ago. I'm sorry, 3 years ago. 3 years ago. Now Allen is getting ready to go to just his second conference championship game in the past 3-4 years. I don't think they're getting past my man them though. But he did that. So when we balance it out like that and then all the 40 touchdowns and stuff like that, so how does Joe Burrow even bump Josh Allen? Now they had to do it this way because of what Allen is brought to the table and then Burrow's missed. Then he's going to go further down. He has to. Now, if Josh Allen go get a Super Bowl and stuff like that, we'll see what happens. But I'm like, so people say, well, Burrow's, I'm like, no, he's not. Again, if we're going to go year to year, you can't go off the past. Go year to year and see what he does then. But you can't keep sitting up there using that same stupid ass argument, basing everything up on them when they lost to the fucking Rams. When they lost to the Rams. How do you do that? How is that even fucking possible to even do something like that? But you gonna tell me this guy's overrated when he has as much accomplishment. Even Josh Allen has more accomplishments per se than that from that, but he hasn't been to a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts has. I'll put Josh Allen over Jalen Hurts for near the numbers and whatnot and all this other stuff, even though Jalen Hurts has won an NFC championship game and been to the Super Bowl and Josh Allen hasn't. I'm not going to merely put somebody on that. I said that was a couple years ago. Now what's what? Now they're both at their respected positions. playing in the AFC and NFC titles. While Burrow's at home for a second year in a row, and you're gonna sit up there and tell me this guy's overrated. And so if he's overrated, then what the fuck is Joe Burrow? And I'm not calling him overrated. Those guys are fine quarterback. Burrow's a hell of a passer. Oh, that's a Jalen in his own right. He got Saquon Barkley now. He don't have to really per se be someone. All he got to do is get the ball to his mans and whatnot, to Brown, and get the ball to Smith and whatnot, turn the ball off to Barkley and stuff like that, and let that line do his thing and whatnot. If they shut Barkley down, then he got to turn. Then he gonna have to turn in the cape. You got to put the cape on then, and then that's where the rubber meets the road. But to sit up there and say that guy's overrated, man, cut the shit out, man. Like I said, if Jalen Rose is overrated, then what the fuck is Joe Burrow? And he has more accomplishments. He has more accomplishments than that of Joe Burrow. Even his fucking record is better than Joe Burrow's record. And he's been to the playoffs every year since he's been in the league. Joe Burrow hasn't. That's why I tell you guys, numbers don't lie and get emotional. People do. Okay? Like I say, man. Like I tell you, there's no GOAT. There's no greatest of all time. Long as time is still going on, like I just said, numbers don't lie and get emotional. People do. You guys have a good one.